up, everybody? On today's video, I'm going to go over how to change the rear brakes on my Ford Transit Connect 2019. I'm going to go over some of the tools you need and some of the things I learned. I've already changed one side and fussed and fought with it, so thought I'd try to go over some stuff that maybe make it a little bit easier on this side, things that I learned. So let's go over some of the tools. This doesn't specifically pertain to just mine. Other brakes, rear brakes, will probably be similar, and maybe this will help you too. But let's see what we got, and I'll go over the tools. So let's get started and see what we can come up with. Alright, so as far as the tools, of course you're going to need a jack, which I've already jacked it up. You'll need some form of tire tool to remove your lug nuts. You got, what I used is two 15mm wrenches. I also used not a leaf, didn't use that. But anyway, a large screwdriver, pair of needle nose pliers, ratchet with a 15mm deep well socket, a hammer, a small pick or a large pick. Either way, I had a small one. So like I said, a hammer. This is the compression tool. Rented this from O'Reilly's for $60. I fought with it without trying not to have to do that. But whenever I went and did this, it made it so much easier. So I would highly recommend just doing that. Just rent it, use it, and then take it back and get your money back. I also used the small little impact for removing the, once I broke the lug nuts to finish removing them. And then I got the replacement pads, spring. And then I'm gonna, once I get everything pulled apart, I'm gonna actually take the rotors to Napa and get the rotors to turn, so that way you can reuse them. That can save you a little bit of money from actually having to get brand new rotors if they can be turned. If they can't, then you have to order them. But just to be on the safe side, I ordered a set, so I do still have a set coming in. So on the next one, should be good. Hopefully this one will be able to be turned. The other side was, so hopefully it'll work out. So I'm gonna set this up, kind of get some stuff done, and then I'll pull you in close to kind of show what I'm doing when it comes to something that's not mundane. Again, I've already broke loose the lug nuts. I bought just as a, let me get over here, flip it back around. So I got this tire tool from Walmart for $22. I like it. I've bought a couple of these. Hold on. It kind of compresses to kind of save a little bit of space, and it comes with this lug, which has two sizes on it, and then another lug with two sizes on it. So by getting this tool for $22, you should be able to also be able to do pretty much anything, any car or vehicle that has a lug nut on it. That's why I like it. But this is what I need, so I'm just going to kind of keep it the way it is and store it in my van. On the wrenches, if you got a ratchet wrenches would actually be a lot better. I don't have a ratchet wrench in 15mm, and so I'm just using these. I really like the box end on this one because it actually has like it's hard to tell, but the teeth are squared and there's more of them, and it's a little bit harder, so it doesn't quite slip quite as much. But you don't have to actually turn it so far to kind of get a bite. You can just do small turns. So I really like these sets of wrenches. Pittsburgh. I'm pretty sure it probably came from Harbor Freight. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it came from Harbor Freight. And then the rest of these tools are just tools that I've collected over time. So let me pause this, get my tripod out, do some stuff, and then I'll pull y'all back in for some more important stuff. If you have any questions, post them in the comments. I'll try to answer them the best I can. And again, like I said, I'm gonna try to go over some stuff that I felt made it easy. I found out made it easier. Mainly is don't waste your time trying to do anything else. I'll show you later. You can do it with, it's possible to do it with pliers, but it was so aggravating that I would just get this. Because like I said, from what they said is once I return this, I'll get my money back. So if you're just borrowing a tool and you return it how it is, I'm assuming that you get your money back. No harm, no foul. And this worked great, and it has all the different sizes for the different vehicles. For this 2019 Ford Transit Connect, it didn't actually need any of the other ones. It just used the part that was on it. And another thing that I thought was kind of cool is it actually has a magnet on it. So when you put the adapters on here, they can magnetically stick. But I'll kind of try to go over some more of this later if I don't forget. Alright, so hopefully we'll have some nice entertaining time-lapse stuff going on through the magic of modern editing. So let me get started. Yeah. That chair helps too. Dirty vehicle. The dust hit me. So, got the tire out of the way. Let's see what we can do. I'm trying to get y'all in here. Okay, that's okay. Alright. Alright, you guys, so I just recorded a whole bunch I didn't record it. I just said a whole bunch and there wasn't nothing there. So now we're starting over. But anyway, so this is your rotor right here. And this is the part that's going to hopefully get turned later. You can see how thick it is. It's a good chance they'll be able to turn that. So, but again, like I said, I got another new set coming in for next time. This is your caliper here. This right here is your brake pads back here. Retention springs, you got two pads, one here, one on the other side. And the caliper is held on to the vehicle by 2 bolts. Yep, I'm still recording. All right, this guy here, right here, which is the 15 millimeter. And see the other one. Let me throw this on here. That guy right there. This one, yeah, this one right here can you can use a ratchet with the 15 millimeter socket. All right, so I got the box end of the wrench around the bolts, and then what I'll do is I'll take the second wrench. Let's see, put it in here like this. All right, so setting it like that, so that makes an extension, but it's very flimsy. It's very flimsy. So when doing this, because you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on it, I suggest using one hand if you can to hold it here while applying the force this way on the other end, because when if it slips, you bust your knuckles, and that's no fun at all. And also, I would suggest doing this to break the other nut loose also, but then you can use the socket on it. So give me 1 second. Like I said, this is kind of a painful way to do it if you don't do it right. So let me focus on doing that real quick, and then, but anyway, I'll try to show you again. So you'll end up holding it like from that end with the extra pressure and extension, and it's still going to be tight. So give me a second, let me break this loose, and we'll be. Alright, so I got that busted loose. Sorry I don't have more hands to show. So then, because of the way, let me get in here. Alright, the way this bolt is by these brake lines here, the brake cable, you just have to kind of, it's aggravating, but you have to kind of just, yeah, you just still kind of have to kind of get in here. And like I said, it's aggravating that you can't, like I said, this is where a ratchet wrench would actually be more efficient. Oops, see? Watch your knuckles. And then you just a little bit at a time. Excuse me. Make sure it's on there. But as it loosens up, you can get it a little bit better. Alright, so I don't know how much you can see what I'm doing. So here, let me pause this, and then we'll get back at it on the next one. Alright, so I got that one about loose. It's on, I can twist it with my hands. So now let's break this one loose. I already broke it loose with using the 2 wrenches like I had said before. And this should be, let's find out if it's loose there. Sorry. It's weird when I'm trying to look at it. There we go. That's the wrong way. There. Watch for the dirt. Yeah, just twist it loose so as it comes loose. Don't bust your knuckles. Probably use a shallow well socket, but Yep, I had it the right way the first time. I'm silly. I'm being silly. Here we go. Get it on there. It's weird looking at it with a mirror. There we go. Now, that's it. All right, hold tight. Yeah, I had to think for a second there. I was doubting myself. Yep, I got it going right. It's just being stubborn and hard-headed. Well, you just kind of keep going until it comes out. Alright, hold tight. Alright, so I finally got them both loose. So what you got for me, because for me the primary task right now is to get the rotor off. So there's your pads right there inside the caliper. Like I said, there ain't much left to it. The other side was bad also. So now sometimes these are on there pretty tight. This one's on here pretty tight. The other one was too. Sometimes they're on here tight, sometimes they're not. And that's why we have the handy dandy hammer. Just kind of give it a little, let's see if I can get far back. Give it a little, turn it, turn it, turn it, turn it. Don't hit it too hard. Don't take much. There we go. See, it's wobbly, wobbly. Wobbly, 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 wobbly. I'm gonna make it drop it like it's hot kind of reference, but yeah. Another time. So anyway, is what you got behind it. Another thing I like to do is, again, I don't have a wire brush at the moment. Take a rag or something, just kind of knock all this loose dirt and rust. So when you put the new one on there, it's not there. Wire brush would be better. I don't have one right at the moment, so anyway, the next thing I prefer to do, and I did it with the other side, is I like to take and actually connect the remove the pads and connect the caliper back to back here, so that way it actually, to me, makes it a little bit easier to compress. Plus you get practice, because it is a pain in the rear end to get the bolt started back up on this. So after doing it about 50 times yesterday, the practice makes perfect. So I'm gonna take, let's see, it's gonna be hard to try to do this one-handed, but I'm gonna try. All right, so ow, little prick, stuck me. So anyway, for the springs, get your little hook here. You can see these things are actually kind of push out. Just pry these guys out of here. Oh, I'm trying to do it and hold the cameras. Pry these out. So this was the front one. That was metal on metal there. There was no pad left. So let's see what I can get out of this guy here. Sorry. It's aggravating. I ain't perfect. So if these pop off, these are actually the back side of this compression rod here. I think that's what this is called, the compression rod. Maybe not, I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but that's what allows the caliper to move back and forth. And there's some grease or oil back here, so that popped off because I bumped it. So you want to keep it, put it back in there. Let's see if I can show you what I'm not looking at. Oh, where's it at? So see how there's that hole right here. So just, yeah. There we go, put that back in there. So this one actually had some pad left to it, but it really didn't matter too much because of the fact the other one was just trashed. So now I'll take the clip off, or the retention spring right here on here off, between using your pick and your fathead screwdriver, which I only have two hands. Where did that guy go? Here we go. What you can do is you can actually, the rod I was talking about that allows it to move on both ends, you can actually pull it out, but you don't, be careful, don't pull it too far because it will come all the way off. Actually push it all the way in, and I'm gonna go ahead real quick, and it'll be really hard for me to try to do this with one holding the camera, but I'm gonna go ahead and mount the caliper back. You can do one screw or one bolt. Yeah, one bolt, 2 bolts, however you want to do it. I like to secure it back on here, so that way it allows me to not have to hold it, and then I'm not putting any extra pressure. Oh, what happened? It's wrapped around them. And you're not putting any extra pressure on your cables and your lines back here. So that's one of the reasons why I prefer to do it that way. It's not the only way. It's just a way, and it's just a way I like to do it. Here's your piston back here, and you got your two little markers on here. That goes into your kit back there that I rented, and I'll go into that in a minute too. So give me a minute. All right, so I got this mounted back up. Where's my hand at? Here's my hand. I just went with one bolt. Yeah, one bolt, because the back one's the easiest one to do because you're not dealing with the lines back here. So anyway, so let me work on prying this spring off. Another, and then I'll kind of go from there. Show what you're doing. Show what you're doing. So people can laugh at you in the comments. Bam. There. If you don't, first you don't succeed, pry and pry again. It's going to come out eventually. There we go. And also be careful, depending on what type of spring it is, these can fly off and be hard to find in your shop, whatever type of shop you got. I'm just dealing with a garage. Pliers. Needle nose pliers. So, there we go. Alright, so now, as far as the piston, this little plastic, or not plastic, but probably rubber seal back here, where's it at? Right here, is what has to compress, or the whole thing compresses, but this is the part that actually kind of seals it and keeps your fluid from leaking. If you have any leak around here, you should have known it, because the brake fluid kind of doesn't leak slow. You need to replace the caliper, but since I caught it in time before that happened, I just have to compress this back. Now let me get the kit, and we'll go forward with that. But one thing I will say is it's best to have, where's my glare on my screen? But again, be careful not to pull it all the way out. But you want it to where this piece here is sticking out past, or is offset from this side, because you don't want them together. And I'll show you in a second. Let me get the kit. Alright, so here's the kit as it comes. It's 11 pieces, or it says 11 pieces, but it's actually, I think it's 12, including the whatever you call this part here, the main screw part here. So whatever kind of caliper you have, that's why I said this doesn't really just apply to this vehicle, it does apply to others. There should be some kind of, let me get my hand out of the way, there we go, some kind of indicators, like I have these two holes here, and you got ones with different holes. I tried that one doesn't work. You have this one right here that you can actually use with a extension or with a wrench or ratchet. I prefer a ratchet, and I'll show you why. Because I tried doing it and it was aggravating. And all right, so if you use a ratchet, all right. So see how small of a profile the ratchet comes through on that, and then you still got quite a bit of what do you call this, meat left on the tool itself. Hold on, let me get give me 1 second. I don't have a extension. I wasn't expecting to, I didn't have the extension because I wasn't expecting to go in on it, but if you try to use an extension, now do you see how much it sticks out? There's hardly any meat left unless you kind of pull it out like that. So it's not very ideal. But this one would have worked, but with the location, it's not very efficient. So let me kind of show you how this works. This right here is I'm gonna call this part of the compression plate, and for mine, I don't need one of the other. I just need this one right here. Works the way it is. So what you do is you unscrew it a bit. There we go. Where my thumb is, that's going to be the back side of your caliper, or facing outward. The piston will be here, and as you twist it, it will actually turn the piston, because the piston's actually got to turn in a clockwise direction. And as it's turning, it'll actually compress it inward. So I'm gonna try my best to get a good angle of that, but my tripod wouldn't. I don't think it would actually do very well this low to the ground. So give me 1 second to kind of get it set up, and I'll show an example. Yeah, and just before I do that, I just remembered I was going to show you how to do it without the kit, depending on what the pattern is in your on your piston. So you can do it using your pair of needle nose pliers and just kind of get in there, whatever the pattern is. I'm sorry, I'm not. You're kind of get it in there, and then just turn it. It's going to be hard to turn it first. Turn it right. There we go. Whew. It's hard to turn it first because I got it so far out. But anyway, just kind of turn it, and it's a pain in the butt to do it that way. So that's why I said just go ahead and spring for the kit. It's worth it. So now let me set this back up, and this is what it's going to look like. You got your what I called the compression plate is propped up against these two pieces of the caliper, and then on the inside, your plate is actually the design or whatever, which mine was the two little nipples or set in place, and there's compression or there's tension pushing it back. So now let's see what happens. Man, sun bright. So now it's hard to tell. I'm trying to get it where we can all see. So it's turning. Hold on. As if the flash helps. Maybe that'll help a little bit. Like I said, at the moment it's tight because the piston is so far out. But as it gets going in, it'll get easier. This would be a lot harder if I hadn't actually reattached this. So I'm gonna give it some, and you see, since I don't have the retention spring, the caliper is moving. So you gotta be careful that you don't put too much pressure, because that's putting pressure on these rods. They're on both ends, or the top and the bottom. So let me switch over and focus on tightening it with two hands so I don't put too much pressure on this. And then as it gets easier, and I'll try to come back to it. Alright, so it's moving a little bit easier now. And you can see that it's actually compressing as it turns. And it is definitely getting a lot easier. And this is so much easier because when I did it was trying to do it without the kit and just using the pliers, I turned and turned and turned and turned, and it seemed like it took forever to get any little bit of progress. So I know this is kind of being a shaky video, but unfortunately my one tripod isn't good for getting down in areas like this, and the other one I got, it's not working. So battery's dead. So, or the gimbal, yeah, the gimbal I got, the battery's dead. So, all right, so you're gonna turn this, and once it gets to where, like it just got to where it stopped, it's done. So now it's fully compressed. Now you can back it just a little bit the other way. There we go. Until you actually start getting loose on here. Once you get hold on. All right. And one thing I did forget to mention is with this, you can kind of this little rubber boot here needs to kind of be pushed in there, so whenever you put the pad on, it doesn't get pinched and cause a leak or point of leakage. All right, so but you're gonna want to turn this the other way, because it's not want to turn it back too much, because you got to actually relieve the pressure on this plate just a little bit, so bear with me. All right, when I did that just earlier, I didn't have that problem, so I wasn't expecting that, but I'm not sure what size that is, so I just grabbed my adjustable wrench, and you just gonna get on there and just start loosening it up till it turns freely, and then just wind it down, wind it down, get it out of there. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Get it out of there. Do 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 do. Out of there. Do 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 do. There we go. So now there, get out of there. Man, I need to change my channel to the guy to the guy. What the hell? What? No way. Sorry, had to throw that in there. So now the piston is fully compressed. So get some of that dirt out of there, and start working on the brake pads. So on these brake pads, different vehicles have different brake pads. There's different from the front and the back, or the front and the rear, excuse me. So you have these two pads here. This one will be the one that's facing the tire. No, I guess the outside of the vehicle, and this would be facing the inside of the vehicle. And again, it's got these springs on there. So just slide these in here, and that's where it comes into play for actually manipulating the rods and figuring out if you want it pulled out, all the way out, and making sure that, so this is the pad, in case I should say that first. This is the pad. This is the actual shoe part, which makes contact with the rotor, and then this is the metal that it's adhered to. So make sure that the pad is actually facing towards you on the back one, and it'll be facing away from you on the front one. So it'll be, go here, something. Let's see if I can show you. And there's little, see that little design right there? And then where's my pad at? So the pad itself has that same little design on it. So it goes in there. So try to get this in there. So you just manipulate it. Two hands. Now that you got the, where's my finger? Where in the wrong place. So you got the design here, design in there, and then you start kind of working it back to the piston. Oh, sorry, I didn't really get a good grip on that. So now it should be making contact with the piston in the back, and the pad is on the outside. Move on to the next one. So again, this is the one that's facing the outside of the vehicle. So again, you got the metal that it's adhered to, and then you got the pad that's going to make contact with the rotor. So, bam. Let's make sure that the pad is facing that way. So get it in, ba da 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 da. Get it in, da 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 da. I'm hoping I'm showing something, but I'm all over the place. So you do that. Come on, get in there. There we go. There we go. Kind of have to play with it some. All right, and just like the other one, it's got the design in it on the top and on the bottom. Yeah, there we go. So you just kind of make sure it's fitting into place. Yep, it's fitting into place, and then you have the window here, but you really can't really see much through it because of the lighting. So let me go back the other way. There we go. You got your rear pad, and then the other pad in there, and then the rotor will fit in the middle. The outside pad is fully compressed or fully pulled against the caliper on the outside. The one on the inside is fully pressed to the piston. That's what I'm looking for. Now it's time to play with the spring. So found out an easy way to do this one, or at least this one was easier than the front. The front ones gave me a problem. I think I kind of bent it out of shape, but shh, I won't tell if you don't. So what you do is you take this little hole here, put that little piece in there. Let me see, because I'm trying to do it. And there we go. Get it in there. Get it in here. And then that part comes on there. And then you kind of get that one going in that hole to a degree. And then that's where you get your little pick. Where did you go, guy? Bam. Let's see. And take your pick. Put it in here. It's gonna be hard for me to do holding with one hand. So let's see if I can do it with. All right. So trying to make sure it goes in there good. Pull. That's right. Pull it out so that the pistons are compressed, or the rods are compressed. Pull it out again. Oh, where you at? There you are. Try to get that going in. All right, let me see. Got to use my hands, y'all. Sorry. But you want to take and get that going in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm pretty much going to hold pressure here and then take my pick, hook it down in here, and pull it up to where it actually comes around this guy here. And that's what's going to keep your pressure on your caliper. So, bear with me. All right, I'm back. So that took so it worked out pretty well. Like I told you again, put that in there, took the hook, pulled that around here, and then once I got that around here, I went back up here and completed putting pressure or making sure that was completely in the hole, so that way it didn't come out. So now that this is set, this caliper is set. Once I go get the rotor turned, it'll be easy to just pull this one nut off at the bottom, put the caliper back on, or the rotor back on, and then put the hardest part is going to be getting the caliper back on. The bottom bolt's not that bad. It's just trying to get this top bolt in here around these hoses and getting it started is a pain in the butt. So before I go, this is the condition of the rotor. You can see all the marks in it from the metal. Like I said, you can see how bad this side is. It looks like an old record player because it was metal on metal. There's an actual lip right here that's not normally good. And then looking at the back side, even though you still got the lines, it's a little bit smoother because it did actually still have some pad left on it. Judging by the thickness of it, hopefully they still be able to turn it down. And for anybody who doesn't know what they do, or turning it down, what they do is they take and knock off a small layer of metal so it doesn't have this groove on it. And I'll show you. Let me show you another. Get that dirt off there. Rotor real quick. Bear with me. All right, I know these are different rotors, but this is for the front and that's for the back. But this kind of shows you the difference between what it looks like before it's turned and after it's turned. It's real smooth. And but the problem is you have to watch how thin it gets, because once it starts getting thin, it becomes a safety hazard. So luckily, that's what I said. It should have enough to where it could still be turned. And if not, I still got some coming, so I'll have a new one regardless. But if you don't, trust me, I've tried it. These grooves right here really wear down your new pads really fast. So don't do that. Yes, don't do that. I was going to say yes, no, but don't do that. Just don't do it. It's a bad idea. It's not worth the extra money. If you can find somebody, like I'm going to Napa. Napa's pretty good about stuff like that because they do make they make hoses and stuff like that. Anywhere that makes hoses and does a little bit of other stuff other than just selling parts should be able to turn it. You could also possibly go by a brake shop and ask them if they can turn rotors. Napa's charging, or my Napa, the one I'm going to, charges $15 a rotor. It may vary, but I want to say the rotors were, I can't remember how much the rotors were, but they were more expensive than that. And like I said, if you can take and turn them down, and the last thing I heard was there should be turned down twice, but that may have changed. So just to be on the safe side, if you can turn them down twice, like I said, if you get a brand new rotor and you can actually get 3 uses out of it, that's pretty good. Because I know I'm pretty sure the front rotors were, I want to say the whole set and brakes were like 3 something. It was crazy. Only spent for the two rear rotors and the pads was like 140, I think 140 something for the rear. So the front's more expensive. The front does a majority of the braking. That's why they tend to be bigger and beefier. The back does help a little bit, but mainly, or not mainly, I don't want to say it like that. They do the back does contribute to the braking, plus it also does the parking brake. So that's why the piston is different than on the rear in the caliper. Because on the front, it's not as hard to compress it back. The parking brake makes it harder. So, in summary on this, turn down, used. Hopefully this one, here in a little bit, this one will look like this. And I can come back and show you about putting it back on. It's easy. You just push it on there, put the caliper on, and it pretty much pulls itself in place. Once you tighten the tire down, it kind of puts itself in place. And I don't think there's a whole lot of things you can do to mess that up other than like trying to put it on backwards. But that, we're going out on a limb and saying you're not going to do that. So let's wrap this part up. I'll go get it, try to get this one turned down, and once that's done, I'll start putting it back together. So for use, cause I got to work tomorrow. Yay! All right, y'all. So I'm back. The new rotors came in before they were able to get the other one turned down. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the new one on there because I need to get this thing done. Need to get it done. This is how the rotors come packed in this plastic to keep them from corroding. Sometimes it's ripped and sometimes they are corroded. And in most cases that I've found, there'll actually be a grease coating. If there is, it's mild. The last one I got was drenched in some kind of grease, but mainly to keep it from getting corroded, since it's metal. Which is it's okay. But if there is, just be aware whenever you put them on and you put your brakes on and you start driving again, they will smoke a little bit while the coating comes off, that grease or whatever it is comes off, and don't worry about or keep an eye on it. Your car shouldn't catch on fire, but the last time I did it, they smoked. So if they do smoke, then it's not the end of the world. So just gonna take and set it up here and mount it on here. So bear with me. Sorry about that. Just like putting on a spare tire. But yeah, just get it on here, scoot it in place. It'll be kind of wobbly, but as you put your tire on there, it'll pull itself into place. So don't worry about it wobbling. All right, now the other thing you'll do is you'll take your caliper, sandwich it around it like so, and then you'll go in and tighten up your bolts. Like I said, this top one is problematic. The bottom one not so much, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to get that done. Yeah, one of the reasons why it's kind of hard to do this and hold the camera at the same time is because I actually got to kind of get my head in here and see what I'm doing, because you can see the gap in here. Like I said, I got the bottom one started so it'll hold it up. Then all I got to do is just kind of manipulate the top one around so that way I can line the holes. And then once I get it together, everything should snug on up. So bear with me. Alright, so now that I got the two bolts tightened up or snug, what I'm going to do is just like whenever I took them off, I'm going to actually put the 2 wrenches together to actually get a little bit more leverage on it and try to put just a little bit more force on there to make sure that they're tight. One thing I didn't mention before, if you have a leak, then you possibly have air in the system and you may need to bleed your brakes. If you do need to do that, there should be fitting like this. It's 10 millimeter. Break it loose, have somebody push on the brakes, and as it's coming out, tighten it. Don't wait till they release the brake, because then it's sucking air back in, or it could be sucking air back in. Crack it loose to it's kind of like a little drip. Have them push on it, it'll squirt out, but make sure they're pushing it slow so it comes out, and as it's coming out in a stream, tighten it. Snug it tight. And then if you have any kind of little cap like this, clean it off and put it back on there, or clean the end of it off and put it back on there to keep the dirt out of it. But hopefully you catch it before it starts leaking. I try to do that myself because I prefer not to have to worry about it any more than I have to. So now, let me turn it back. See, it's on there. And like I said, once you put the tire on there, it'll pull tight. The caliper itself is not moving. You got your pad on the front, pad on the back. You got your retention spring. You got your caps on that I was telling you about here that we knocked off earlier. You got your caps. You got your bolts tightened. Now it's just a matter of putting your tire back on and cleaning up, and then you're ready to test your brakes. So definitely want to make sure you test your brakes, and we'll go over that in a minute. One more important thing. I know this video has been real long, but I try to explain things the way it makes sense to me. So that way, because I've been looking for information and haven't been able to find it because people don't explain or don't include the information that I'm looking for, and I end up watching a whole video and it didn't explain what the information I was looking for. So I tried to include as much as possible in case you're looking for some specific piece of information. Hopefully it'll be here and it's not a waste of your time to watch the video. I know it's not the best quality. I know it's shaky. I'm shaky. But anyway, the other important thing is whenever you're doing any kind of mechanic work, make sure you kind of keep an area to keep all your nuts and bolts. And like I got this chair here is where I kept my bolts, especially when you got small bolts or small nuts, screws, stuff like that. It sounds like a no duh kind of thing, but hey, always throw it out there. And I know I talked about Napa and O'Reilly's, renting the parts from O'Reilly or renting the tools from O'Reilly. I don't really have a specific. It's not a specific fondness of any of them specifically. It's just what I can get from where I can get it, when I can get it, or when I need it. That's like I was thinking about it earlier. The brakes and the pads came from Advanced Auto Parts. I rented the tool from O'Reilly's, Napa's, turning down my rotors, and I got the air filter from O'Reilly's because I was there. And AutoZone, if I'd have needed to go to AutoZone, I'd have went there too. So I think I had to replace the caliper on the front last time. They had the caliper in stock, so guess where I was going? My butt was going there. So that's just kind of the way I am, or the way you really need to be anyway. But anyway, and don't forget to put, before you return your tool, make sure all your pieces were there and everything, so that way you can get your money back, which I'll hopefully be able to do that here later. But anyway, let me get this back together, or get the tire on and everything like that, and we'll test the brakes, make sure they're working. Alright, hold tight. Alright, so now that we're back in the vehicle, crank it up, test your brake, make sure it's not just steady going to the floor. We don't have a whole lot of play. It's the way it should be. Do it a few times. Alright, then we're going to hold it in neutral, or hold the brake in. Put it in reverse. And we don't go nowhere. That's a great sign. We are not moving, which is exactly what you want. So, We're stopping. There's not a whole lot of noise. Sorry about the light. Put it in forward. Still not moving. Stopping normal. All right. So now let's see if we can take it for a ride. See what happens. Stopping pretty good for me. Oh, let me turn off the flash was on. So it's working fine. Circle the block. Make sure it still stops. There's no problems with it. Again, sorry about the sunshine. Let me finish this drive real quick and I'll come back. Alright, so test drive went well. No issues with it. I'm in the bad lighting. There we go, a little bit better. Now the only thing left is to throw the hubcaps back on, or the dirty hubcaps on there, and take it back to work. Another important part of your job, or any job, is cleaning up your area. So got all the tools up, and need to sweep this stuff up, and I'll do that here in a minute so the wife won't be mad at me. And call it a day. I hope I was able to help you in your journey on changing the rear brakes. Sorry I didn't do a video for the front. They're a lot easier to me, as long as you don't have to replace the caliper. The lines aren't in the way of that top bolt. I don't think so. That makes it a little bit easier. And you don't have to twist the piston back in. It just compresses in, nice and easy. There's several ways you can do that. One thing for that, which I know is kind of off subject, but one easy tool for that I picked up from Harbor Freight is this D-ring, this big D-ring right here. They're not expensive, so, and you need to just hang it out somewhere. Just hang it on the edge of your tool desk or work desk, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, but yeah, once I quit being stubborn and hard-headed and got the toolkit, that went a lot easier. Best thing I can tell you is order your parts in advance. Not at advance, but in advance. That was one of the issues with me. I could have done this yesterday or Saturday afternoon was the plan, and it's Monday, so luckily I had an extra day to do it, and everything came in all right. But I don't like being put into a time crunch like that. But yeah, it's not that bad. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I hope I hit some of the things that might cause you to cuss and fuss a little bit, because I sure did on the other one. But that one went by a lot smoother now that I'd kind of gotten out of the stubborn, hard-headed phase of it and just kind of did what I was supposed to do instead of trying to cut corners and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm gonna take that toolkit back here in a little while, get my money back, and have a good rest of the evening. Hope y'all do. As I normally say on this channel, stay safe, God bless, and do great things.